Welcome to another video on SRID Cloud. In this video, I will talk about how to consume the block storage aspect of Ceph storage. In previous video, I described how to set up a Kubernetes environment with multi-node and then install the Rook and Ceph on top of it. So in this video, we'll see how to use the Rook and Ceph storage and derive block storage out of it. So we already have OC. I mean the Rook and Ceph is installed on the Kubernetes environment. So what I'm going to do is create the storage class, and then a persistent volume claim, and that will in turn create a persistent volume. And then I'm going to deploy a MySQL pod with the volume derived from the persistent volume claim, and I'm going to mount it under a particular directory. Similarly, a WordPress pod. So these two will be derived from the persistent volume claim and storage class and so on. But in the third example, the Ceph pod direct mount, that one I will deploy a pod with an image directly from Ceph. And on that, I'm going to mount I'm going to create an image under the block pool, and then I'm going to mount it directly on the pod. So that example will not go through storage class and persistent volume claim and so on. So this would be very useful if you want to bypass the storage class and persistent volume claim and go directly to the Ceph storage. But one catch is, on that pod, you have to have the Ceph installed on it, and we will see how all those things are done. So now let's get started. So let's recap, and let's take a look at this cluster to begin with. So these are the nodes, and let me put it in wide mode. Okay, so I have the same cluster that we saw before in the previous videos, one monitor and 3 OSD drives. Let me get on the Rook toolbox and make sure the cluster is in healthy state. The health is okay, and no pools are defined yet. We're going to do that now. So we're going to take a look at the block storage aspect of Ceph and see how we can carve out a block storage for our pod. One of the applications that we're going to deploy is WordPress, and also MySQL supported by WordPress. And we will learn how to create a pool, a block pool, and then how to create a storage class for it, and persistent volume claims, and persistent volumes, and a deployment pod. And we're going to get inside the deployed pod to look at the actual block storage device. So let's get started. Let me get out of this toolbox. So now the first thing I want to do is to create a storage class and Ceph block pool. So they are already defined in this file. So the first section is the Ceph block pool, and the size is set to 3, the 3 OSD nodes that I have. That is what this 3 means. So the pool is defined like this, the Ceph block pool, and then here is a storage class, and here is the reference to the pool in the storage class, and we are going to be creating the storage class for ext4 file system. So let's do that. So now let's create both the Ceph block pool and storage class with this command. Okay, both the pool and the storage class got created. Now let's get inside the toolbox and take a look at the pool list. So there it is. You see a pool. Let me run this Ceph OSD ls pools. There is a pool called replica pool, and that is the pool we just created. Let me look at it again. So here it is. So we have a storage class also defined, and there it is in the default namespace rook ceph block. So now the next step is to create a persistent volume claim, and also a persistent volume and a deployment. But there are some examples in the rook repository already. Let me go one level above. So we're going to do two things now. One is the MySQL. We're going to create a persistent volume for MySQL, and then a MySQL pod, and the similar one for WordPress. So let's look at the MySQL YAML file under Kubernetes directory. So there's a service, and here is a persistent volume claim. And this persistent volume claim uses a rook ceph block storage class, which we created a moment ago. And here is the deployment pod, and it has notice the persistent volume claim name MySQL PV claim, and it must be somewhere here. There it is, the last volume. MySQL persistent storage is the name of the volume, and it is using the claim MySQL PV claim, and this volume is mounted under var lib MySQL under the pod. So let's examine these things now. kubectl create -f mysql.yaml. So it got created. So first of all, let's see if the persistent volume claim is created. It is created and bound as well. The corresponding persistent volume is also created, and it's available. So now before we get inside the rook toolbox, let's get inside the pod and take a look at the volume that's mounted. So to do that, kubectl get pods, and this is the pod name we have to get inside. Okay, so here it is. We are inside the pod. Let's mount, and here is the block device that got mounted under var lib mysql dev rbd0. This is what we were looking for. And var lib mysql directory exists, and it has the MySQL related stuff in it. So this is how the Ceph storage got associated with a pod through block storage. So let's do one more thing. That is Kubernetes WordPress. I'm sorry. So let's do that as well. kubectl create -f WordPress.yaml. And so here is the WordPress related persistent volume claim and deployment pod. Now there should be two PVCs. Yeah, both of them are mounted. So one is, the previous one was for MySQL, the other one is for WordPress storage purposes, where to store all the HTML files. The actual data is coming from MySQL for WordPress. So let's make sure all the pods are all up and running. There it is, both are up and running. So now let us try to get inside the WordPress pod. So that is the first one. And then bash. So mount. Here it is. The dev rbd0 is now mounted on var www.html for the WordPress part. It was slightly different for the MySQL part. And we are in that directory now anyway, so these are the files created by the installer of WordPress to put some files there. So now let us see if we can access the WordPress. So for that we need to get the port, and we know the IP address is the local IP address, and then we are going to use the curl command to invoke the URL. So the first step is to get the WordPress so 31302. So let's see, curl http. So before that, let me get the IP address of this local system is 143. So curl http 192.168.182.143 colon the port number that we saw earlier, 31302. So there it is. The curl command executed and then got empty answer back, but it is working. The port is up and running. We can use a browser now to look at the WordPress page as well. Let's do that. So I invoked the same URL, the IP address and the port 31302, and I got the initial WordPress page. So this shows the WordPress application is running with the storage coming from Ceph storage, and this is the demonstration of block storage. Let me show another example on how to use the block storage here. What we saw so far was with MySQL and WordPress and so on with storage class and the persistent volume claim and mounting the claim inside the pod and all that. But this is going to be a little bit different. This will be mounting a block volume image from block pool onto the pod itself. So let's start. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to install a new YAML file called direct mount YAML. So let's take a look at this. Direct mount YAML. So this has got very simple stuff in it. There is only a deployment definition, nothing else. And inside this deployment definition, we are going to install the Ceph directly in it with its parameters, with tiny and -g, use a local bin toolbox and all that. But most importantly, we are going to create an image inside the block storage pool, and then we are going to mount it directly on this part. So let me first of all create this to begin with. Make sure the old ones are still there. kubectl create -f direct mount.yaml. So it got created. Make sure it is up and running. I think it got created in, let's see which namespace it is. Okay, in the root Ceph. So this is what we're talking about. So now let us get inside this pod kubectl -n ceph exec it and then this pod and bash. Oh, it's just a -it. Okay, I'm inside this pod, and now I'll say let me see if ceph -s works. Okay, the health is okay, and it has one pool that we already created. So on that pool is nothing but replica pool. Let us verify that. Ceph OSD ls pool replica pool. So inside this replica pool, we are going to create an image. So how to do that is rbd create a replica pool / say test of 10 megabytes. So it got created. So now let's verify if it got created successfully. rbd info replica pool test. So there it is. The size is 10 MB and all other stuff. So now let us do some housekeeping on this one. rbd future disable replica pool test fast diff deep flatten object map. Okay, it's already disabled on this one, so that's fine. So now let's map this newly created image. rbd map replica pool test. It is done. It is mapped to dev rbd0. I think lsblk should show it. Yeah, it shows up here at the very beginning. 10 megabyte image that we created. And then the next step is let me do this again to keep it clear. Okay, and then I'm going to do a makefile system. I'll be formatting this with a particular file system type. So mkfs.ext4 -m0 /dev rbd0. So it is done. The file system got created, and now I'm going to mount this in a temporary variable, temporary directory. So for that, let me create this directory first. Rook volume, and then mount dev rbd0 to temp rook volume. Okay, it's done. So now let me go to temp rook volume, and let me write a new piece of data in this one. Say echo hello rook to hello. So I'm able to write a file hello there. So this is how I can use a Ceph storage, block volume storage in my pod directly, as long as the pod has Ceph in it. Ceph is installed on it. So now how do I unmount it? This is very easy. umount /temp rook volume, and then rbd unmap dev rbd0. So now if I do rbd info replica pool test, and I still see the image but not the mount of it. So this is how you do things inside the block storage. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and in this video I explained how to use block storage from Ceph. In future videos I will describe the same for file as well as object storage from Ceph. And it was nice describing these things to you today, and have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.